Let's start our discussion. We have around 3 hours or so today. Hope you remember we started to talk about this topic, layout planning, the other day. We have come to the middle of our subject now, operations management. We have completed several operations management concerns from operations strategy to product designing to operations capacity planning to location planning to right and processes to now layouts. So we started this topic the other day. Hope you remember where we stopped. So when we discuss facility layout planning as a topic of operations management, we try to understand how the physical arrangement of operations resources should be done within an operations facility. So, simple terms, within a factory, how production steps, machines, and departments should be located within the building and around the building, how other facilities should be arranged so that the operations activities can be smoothly managed. When it comes to service context, like service industries, it's also the same. For the service operations facilities, how physical resources should have been arranged within the buildings and around the buildings. So that decision is called facility layout planning. That should have been decided after considering various different aspects. Technology aspects, production processes, and the type of resources we have, and then the space availability and many other concerns. So in this topic, we have so far understood what layout is, what layout planning is, and then of course in this slide we identified what are the common objectives when making this decision. So there we understood two main objectives for manufacturing and services separately. In manufacturing setup, it's all about how to smoothly manage the production flow, workflow, material flow, so that there can be layout advantage. Like they can manufacture products faster than others, with minimum traveling distances. They can utilize the space availability for the maximum. There can be cost savings, time savings, and then higher utilization of labor and other resources because of layout advantage. That is for mainly manufacturing. Then for service facilities, as you can see here, customers will have to come and service providers should engage with them in creating and delivering services, like at banks, supermarkets, hospitals, or any other. So in such layouts, the layout plan should have been done in a way that these interactions can be managed smoothly and customers can move through the service facility smoothly. So that is what we call particular traffic pattern here. So likewise, considering the main operations requirements of a facility, layout should have been designed. Additionally, there are many other concerns, like what we have mentioned here. Layout should be safer for the users. Layout should minimize the length of flow within the facility. And then, of course, it should be clear to the users in which way the products are moving, customers are moving, and all. And it also create a safer and then more healthy working conditions for the workers and also for the users, like customers. Like and then utilize the available space for the maximum purpose, so higher utilization. And of course, being able to adjust the layout according to the requirements. We call it flexibility. Likewise, there are different layout planning objectives to be considered. Necessarily more than one at a time. They have making layout. Having understood that, we then move to identify what are the basic layout types available. You as accountants or finance managers may not refer to them often, but when you sign operations management, you should know what are the basic layout types. So there are four main layout types we identified there. Namely, there is one called fixed position layout. And then most of the organizations may use the second one. We call it process-oriented layout, also known as functional layout or job shop layouts. We need to know what are the main characteristics of them, how they are different from each other, and where to use which type of layouts, why. Third one, especially in industrial sectors, we see a product type or product-oriented layouts. We call it product-oriented layouts, also known as flow shop layouts, and that is exactly what we consider as assembly lines. Assembly lines. That type of layouts are known as what? Hello, product-oriented. Fixed position, maybe hello. Too many. Product-oriented layout. Correct. And then the fourth one. There is this combination of any other two. We call it hybrid layouts. Let's discuss what are the main characteristics of them. How the cell layouts or cellular layouts, hybrid layouts operate. So what are the four types of layouts there? Fixed position, unique characteristic, you should know. Then process-oriented layouts. That is different. Then product-oriented layouts, that is totally different. And then hybrid layouts, cell layouts, that is combined any two, especially the second and the third one. Process-oriented and product-oriented layouts are combined in hybrid. These layouts are very much related to the processing technologies or process types that we identified in the previous topic. Right? So that nicely summarizes here in this slide for what type of manufacturing processes, what type of layouts are recommended. So you should be able to understand this summary. Have a solid understanding on layout. These are the process types for manufacturing, organization, projects, jobbing, batch, mass processes, and continuous. And refer to the arrow that we discussed the other day. Then we identify which layout type is recommended for which process type or types. Move to this slide if you have a hard copy, or else refer to the soft copy and write it down, right? Because it nicely summarizes, you will understand later. Now, looking at the scope for the project processes, the scope for the arrow, right? It summarizes that for project processes, mostly the fixed position layouts are used. Can understand it, no need write down. Why I'm saying so? So the arrow only refers to the fixed position layout, the scope covered. Then of course, when it comes to jobbing processes, it covers functional layouts as well as fixed position layouts. So that means for jobbing processing, technically both functional layouts and fixed position layouts can be used depending on the specific operator requirement. We just started. Then, of course, coming to the third type of processes, batch processes. The main layout time, a type that is technically possible, is functional layout. Is functional layout. So the main layout type for batch processing, functional layout. And you may see somewhere here, right? The arrow continues to product layout also. Can you see that? It's not a mistake. That means for certain batch processing, even product type layouts are possible. When we discuss, you will understand what it is. And of course, cell layouts are becoming popular for batch processing now. So all three layout types are technically okay for batch processing. Understood it? I think so. Then of course, for mass processes, basically the product layouts are recommended. But to have a little more flexibility, we might say cell layouts are also used. I mean, in certain industries, certain factories, certain outlets. However, when it comes to the continuous processes, what is the recommended layout type? Only the product oriented layout. The product layout. Why? It covers only the product layout. Is that clear? When we discuss their characteristics and all, you will come back to this slide again and check how nicely it summarizes here. Since we have not discussed their characteristics, their advantages and all, you might not understand it fully now. But within today, you will understand. Right, is that clear? In the same manner, the three service process types we identified the other day and the layouts, they are related. For professional service processes, either functional layouts or fixed position layouts are possible. And then service shops processing, basically functional layouts are possible, and then of course cell layouts. Only cell layout. And then when it comes to the mass services, mostly the product layouts are used, but now we see some of them are depending on cell layout or hybrid layout. Clear? I am referring to the range covered by the arrow, and that is how I summarize it. Clear? Come back to this slide again and check whether you understood it better after completing the topic. For the time being, just be aware. For the examination purpose, maybe as accountants, finance managers, you may not deal with them very much, but since you are studying corporation management, you need to know. There will be questions. In addition to these four layout types, in different industries, they have their own layout types, having unique characteristics and all. So they are also considered as different layout types now and explained in textbooks, like the office layout. How, you know the meaning of officers, right? They are workers and the office staff is working for 8+ hours per day and then 5+ days per week. That arrangement, the physical resource arrangement for officers should have unique characteristics. So such we call office layout. So we have to allocate seating areas, and then the supervisors where they should be, and the other stationaries and other stuff we have to locate and then office layout. Retail layouts are a little different. Retail layouts, like outlets or retail shops, where products are sold for customers to come and then compare and select, and then make the payments and check out. So such layouts we call them retail layout. They are unique. And then of course the warehouse layouts, warehouse facilities, the space that is allocated for different stocks, stock keeping units, SKUs, and then how to maximize the utilization of the space and all. And for that layout type recommended for warehouse, we call them warehouse layout. Unique characteristics. In addition to that, even other layouts like banks layout. Since all the banks are following some sort of common format, banking layout. Hospitals, although we can explain them on some other layout types, we can also refer to as hospital layout that has unique similarities among different hospitals. So we call them hospital layouts. So likewise, specific layout. Then of course the exhibition layouts, stalls and exhibitions and all, how to arrange the spaces for different stalls. So exhibition layouts. Having unique characteristics, right? For different businesses, for different industries, for different operations, appropriate layout types should be selected and utilized. For that, we should know their characteristics, their differences, especially advantages, and their own limitations. That is what we try to do now. But in your degree program, we are supposed to discuss more in detail about two layout types. That is functional layouts, or what we call process-oriented layout, and product-oriented layouts. Other layout types are not so necessary. So from here onwards, we try to identify their characteristics. And then, of course, with respect to those two, how to design. Other slides I have just added, I have just kept them there for your reference. If you want to study, I mean, if you want to get the sense of it, then you can. So I am not going to explain anything here. I will just refer to the relevant content for you. Clear? These slides, this one and the next one, will help you identifying the main objectives of each layout type. 4 plus 3, right? 4 plus office, retail, and warehouse. Right? Spend 3 to 5 minutes and talk to your friends and check whether you can identify the objectives of each layout types here. These are some examples. I have taken this from a textbook. For those layouts, examples are mentioned here. Since they are international examples, you might not get straight away. But objectives you can identify. We are anyway going to discuss it. Have you received it? No. Right. Go through those two slides and check whether you can understand the objective for each layout type. course, I will. Because we are going to cover at least the initial two anyway we are going to cover, that is process layouts and project layout, product layouts. For others also, I will mention it. Was that easy to read and understand the objectives? Not so clear. Anyway, when we discuss, you will understand it. However, you as the mid-level manager, maybe junior to middle-level managers attached to finance departments, accounting department, or such businesses, which layouts are applicable for your type of organizations or your department? Did you understand? Office layouts are anyway related because most of you are working in office environments. So office layouts are very much relevant. Is that so? Or I mean, is that the only thing? Do you think any other layout types relevant? Audit firms, accounting firms, or accounting departments, finance department, project, well, we'll try to understand. When we discuss their characteristics, you might realize project layouts are not so relevant, not so possible, not so related. Right? But there is this process-oriented layout that might be used. So project, process-oriented layouts and office layouts are very much related to your field. And we are going to discuss that in detail so that you will understand how such layouts can be designed, what are the techniques and more. We have detailed understanding. Right, I'm ready. Shall we move to quickly identify their characteristics and we have to use which one with some example. Right. Slide number 13 summarizes some common layout issues. In other words, kind of characteristics that shows us there are layout issues. So often managers and users and customers may not recognize layout issues clearly. But when we see some of these characteristics, it indicates that yes, there are some layout issues in the premises that we utilize. One, that is long distances in the workflow process. Unnecessarily, things are transported here and there. Could be products like materials going through a lengthy process unnecessarily, or if that is customers, they are walking through or they are going through a lengthy process. If it is material, I mean, if it is information, that is again true. It goes through a long distance, unnecessary. That indicates no, the layout arrangement is not so efficient. We could have modified it in a way that the length of distance can be minimized. Second one, congestion. You know the meaning of congestion, right? Things are stuck somewhere and things are not moving smoothly within the facility. Congestion. And bad utilization of space. It's not that space is not available, but it has not been efficiently utilized. We can see that. A sign of poor layout plan. More work in progress, stuck in the process rather than efficiently moving is an indication of a poor layout. So as files, information, so customers stuck somewhere there in the process without smoothly moving. It's an indication of a poor layout. If we see them, definitely as managers, we need to attend to them and try to rearrange the layout, modify layouts, and make the flow more efficient. When we see bottlenecks often in the processing, bottlenecks, yeah, where things get stuck, right? There can be departments, there can be processing steps where things get stuck. And you see in the processors, there are such places. At the same time, there are other departments, they have more time idling without contributing to the product. That's a clear indication of poor layout. Having bottlenecks, and at the same time, other departments are idling their resources, like machines are idling, workers are idling. That's a clear indication. In addition to that, qualified workers carrying out very simple tasks. Worker anxiety and discomfort, and then of course industrial accidents often reported could be an indication of a poor layout. Difficulty in controlling operations, surveilling personnel, workers, are clear indications of poor layout. For an example, supermarkets. There are often reported cases on loss of products, failing, and when they physically count the stocks for various different items, loss of items reported. Okay. Could be due to poor layout and poor layout plans. So likewise, however, most of these layout issues are unseen, unnoticed by many. Sometimes they may notice it, they may have those issues, but they don't recognize them as layout issues. They might relate them to something else. And they don't recognize them as layout issues because they don't know how to overcome it. Don't know whether you understand. There are layout issues. Managers might not recognize them as layout. Instead, they might think them as something. Even when I ask from you as customers, whether there are places that you like to visit often as customers, maybe supermarkets, certain branches, banks, certain branches, restaurants, certain outlets, even maybe libraries, bookshops. You may have certain preferred locations. So, think of the supermarket outlet that you prefer to visit often. If I ask you to think about why you like that place, what are the main factors, main reasons for you to prefer that place over the other place? Simple ones. I hope that we have one or two places that you like to visit often. There can be reasons like what? That is close to your house. That place has enough parking facilities, right? And the parking facilities are available next to the supermarket. Isn't so? What are the other factors? That particular supermarket may have a lot of brands available and a lot of space. Isn't so? So the way that they have arranged products shelves makes easy for you to go and select products. And then the place is clean and having nice atmosphere, like lighting conditions, air conditions, and not much. I mean, you prefer that. Not so smelly. Instead, appealing place. So most of them, although you don't recognize, their layout. Then of course, mostly because of the layout arrangements are better, you prefer to go that. Can you understand? In the same manner, if you think of one or two places you don't like to go, that again could be due to layout. But we don't usually recognize. So as managers may have issues, right? They know only these issues are there, but they don't recognize their layout issues. Keep that in your mind. When you become managers, not necessarily operations managers, but you'll have to deal with such layout issues. So you should have something basic. How to handle it. So that is the purpose of discussing these things. Right. With that, let's move to identify main layout types. We are going to start it with functional layouts, or what we call process-oriented layout, which is one of the main layout types. I've heard of it before. Functional layout. Functional layout. Probably not. But you see here is an example for a typical functional layout. Now you see, the building is there, and the departments are given different places within the building based on one main characteristic. One main characteristic. What is that? Resources are grouped into departments. So similar resources together. So as the building is divided among different departments, and within a department only similar type resources are grouped. See, this is the receiving and shipping end, right? And this is lathe department, only the lathe machines are located. Milling department, only the milling machines are located. So as the others. Drilling, grinding, painting, assembly. See, what's the main characteristic? In functional layouts, resources functioning in the similar manner, grouped together and located together. Resources functioning in the same manner for providing the processing purpose, right? So similar resources together. So that is the main characteristic. It is mentioned here in functional layouts, similar resources or processes are located together. This may be because it is convenient to group them together, or so that the utilization of such transforming resources would be improved. Therefore, we can improve the utilization. It means that when products flow through the operation, right, depending on their processing requirement, processing steps, products may go through the facility. They will take a route, they will take a path from activity to activity according to their processing requirements, according to their needs. So different products may go through different routes. I don't know whether you understand. Orders or the products having different processing requirements may go through different processes, different rules. Different products will have different needs, and then they take different rules. Usually, this makes the flow pattern in functional layouts very complex. Assume that they got an order. This is a machine shop. This is a machine shop. They got an order and it has these procedure requirements. It has to go through 3 lathe processing activities and then move to milling department and then go to drilling, go into grinding and come back to milling and then go to drilling again, then painting and then all 3 steps of assembly and come to an end. That is how that particular product, that order, on the order size, it could be 1 product or few or more, right? How such products are manufactured. The second order assumes that depending on its requirements, it could be varied. A different product, customized product, it might go through a different process. It might go through a different route. Likewise, each order or each product, right, may go through different routes. Different products can be mentioned. So, variety of products can be produced using this type of layouts. That is the main one, which we call flexibility. By arranging layouts in a functional layout manner, we can have flexibility. Variety of products. The same is used for services, then we can have variety of services. What is the main characteristic? Similar resources together. So, as mentioned here, it moves through different parts and then complete the order. Typical examples like hospital. For place like hospital, layout should be like functional layout. Why? Because almost all the layout, almost all the hospitals are designed aligning with this functional layout character. Registration area to OPD section to wards to surgery areas, and then of course ETU, accidents wards separately, and then other resources like similar resources grouped together and located together. Can you understand that? The same can be seen at supermarkets also. Product categories have been identified and then the space within the supermarket allocated for different product categories. This is appropriate because each patient's requirements are different. Each customer's requirements are different. So by arranging the layout in this way, they can offer multiple products, variety of products. We can create and deliver variety of services. So if you go to a restaurant, like a small, medium scale or large scale restaurant, the kitchen area, the equipments and various other preparation resources, like the washing area and the preparation tables, refrigerators, and other food processing resources are located. Consider this functional because they have to utilize them for preparing different items. Functional layouts are equivalent. So what you see here as an example is a live train. That's a typical example for a functional layout. Entrance, reference section, loan section, online resources, study area, document reports and other details, copying area, counter staff. So different users may come and may go through different rooms because their requirements are different. That is possible because the layout facilitates such flexibility. These are different routes that you see. Okay. So this is one main common layout type in operation. That is applicable for your type of businesses as well. It firms, accounting firms, and many other services. Many of the financial service provided firms, banks to leasing companies to insurance companies to many others. Layout should have been arranged in a way like this. Hello, as usual. Out. Right. Other details of this character, this layout is given here. I'm going to explain them, but we'll just read them. In this type of layouts, we see general purpose resources and flexible resources. General purpose. The resources at late department they commonly used for any late processing requirement. Not dedicated resources, but general purpose. But in other layout types, we might see specific or dedicated resources. The same machine is doing the same activity for all the products. But here, general purpose and flexible resources. Other resource, other characteristics like most of the time, these facilities are more labor intensive. More than automated, no, very difficult to automate this type of labor intensive. Meaning, workers are used in processing. Lower capital intensity and lower automation. And processing rates are slower. The completion rate, how faster. Processing rates are slower. So, in that case, what does that mean? The time taken for completing the processing, right? That is slower, so that output relatively low and relatively inefficient. And as a result, how about the cost time? Operating time is longer and relatively operating cost is higher. One of the main concerns here is that material handling cost. Within the layout, if that is a product, taking from one department to another, and from there to the other, and come back to here. So, like material handling cost would be relatively high. And it could be manual material handling, or there are large products or bulky products should be moved using vehicles, forklifts and all. And in such a case, material handling within the facility would be expensive. With functional layout. So keep in mind that is one main concern. And then of course scheduling resources would be more complex, and then the workflow is more complex. Space requirements are also larger, mainly because materials should be handled from one department to another. And for that, sometimes heavy equipments are used, vehicles are used. The space requirements are you may compare it with the other layouts so that you can clearly identify these characteristics and things. If you think of places like hospitals, one of the best designs we have still in Sri Lanka is the hospital we have. That is designed somewhere in 1980s. I've been visited that place several times recently. So when I study about this also, I'm just referring to that place. That's just, one of the best designs. Designed 3D almost 3+ decades ago now, but still suitable, it's still adequate for the capacity 2020 for a few more decades also. If they manage the resources nicely. I don't know. Spacious passages, staircases, spacious. Why is that? Yeah. They'll have to transport patients here and there from one ward to another, maybe equipments from one place to another, and moving. And for that, they have nicely utilized the available premises and designed it. And all the frequently contacted sections are located close. Nice area. So likewise, what I mean to say is that the space requirements are relatively high. Spacious passages, aisles, stairways to ensure the smooth handling of materials and customers. So those are common characteristics of process layout. Clear? Anything else you want to know about this type of layout, what we call functional layout? I mentioned in a few examples. Were they enough? So we often see this type of layouts in everywhere. In fact, within your department, finance department, accounting department, or maybe audit firm or accounting firm, you may see the same. At banks, you may see them. Hospitals, you may see them. Supermarkets, you may see them. Then, thinking from operation side, thinking from processor requirements point of view, it's good to know how to design such layout. What are the techniques available and all, so that we will complete before moving to the other layout patterns. That is what we try to understand here. How to design process layout. What are the main techniques available? How to use them? However, I will just introduce you. I don't want to see the full signatures there. Last time also they asked me to count the head and count the signatures and place my signature there. But I don't want to see everyone has attended for the lecture. No, only those who have come can sign. Because they're checking. I don't mind. Why should I worry about? That's part of my responsibility. They want me to verify the number of heads and number of signatures there that I will have to do. So I must tell you that. Right. Coming to designing, how to design process layout. Do you want to know how to design? Let's see whether there is something that that is useful for you. Right. Right. Go back to that initial 2 slides that I asked you to go through to understand the objectives of layout. Now here, for the process-oriented layouts, what is the main objective? manage varied material flow for each product or for each customer. Flexibility that we need to have. Being able to produce different products, cater different customers. Which one? But when we do so, we have to arrange the layout in such a way material handling cost can be minimized. So that's the main purpose. When designing functional layouts or process-oriented layouts, the main purpose is to arrange departments or work centers in a way that minimize the material handling cost. Material handling. Now, when it comes to material handling cost, that depends on two things. One is number of transactions between department or work centers. And then, of course, the distance they may go through. Number of transactions and the distance. When you think of service facility, it's about number of people moving between departments and then the number of the distance that people walk through or go through. So, considering these two, we try to minimize the material handling cost. And in designing such layouts, there are different techniques. These are the two main techniques that we try to identify. One is called block diagramming. It's an example you quickly identify it. What's the name of that technique? Block diagramming. This can be used when we know the department and other details, and especially know the transaction between departments in numbers, quantitative. This block diagramming technique can be used when quantitative data is available. The main objective is to minimize non-addition load. We'll understand what it can be used when you have quantitative data, number of transactions between departments, and then of course what is the objective? Minimize non-addition. This is an example that helps us understanding this technique. Now, an exam question or an example like this, all such information will be given. All the required information will be given. But as managers, when you want to come up with a layout plan that is suitable for your department, your operation, you will have to gather such information. You'll have to create such information. What information you need? Write it down. Write it down somewhere. To design functional layouts or to process-oriented layout, what basic information managers might require? Design functional layouts. මට ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ මේ කට්ටිය අහරපොත ඉන්න මම හැරවත් නැහැ. මට කියනවා ඔයගොල්ලන් විනාශ වෙනවට මට කියනවා නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ හොඳ මොඩ් එකක් තියාගන්න මට කියනවා නම් මම ඒවට මහන්සි වෙනවට කමක්. මට ගෙවන්නේ සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකේ අවශ්‍ය දේවල් ටික කරලා ප්‍රොවයිඩ් කරලා දෙන්න. ඒක ටික ඔයගොල්ලන් දැන. නේ? ඔයගොල්ලන් ෆෝන් බලන්න එපා වෙන වැඩක් කරන්න එපා කියලා කියනවා මට කියනවා නම් මම ඒක වරිනේ. මේ වෙලාව ඔයගොල්ලෝ සල්ලි ගෙවලා ඉන්නේ මේ වැඩේට මහන්සි වෙන්න කියලා මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කියන්නේ. කියන්න අවශ්‍යයි. ඉවරයි. ඇතුළේ වරිනේ. හැබැයි මම වරිනේ හින්දා තමයි මේ වචන ටික හරි කියන්නේ. Right. What information managers might require when they try to design the functional layout? So functional layouts So their resources are grouped and then departments are located close. I mean, similar resources are grouped together. Right? The main objective is here to find departments in a way that the serial handling cost is minimized. That is the objective, right? So what information the managers might require? It provides information you might require to arrange your department. We should begin from there. We should initially think of the available spaces and then the building dimensions and all. That's a good point to start. Right? So we need to know about the building dimensions and the space available. Shape of the building and the space of the space availability in the building. So that we can start from there. Resources. Yeah, the type of resources we need to locate there. We need to allocate places, right? Type of resources that we are to assign places that we need to identify, plus the space requirements for each resource. You'll understand. The second thing is type of resources we have to allocate and then their space required. In numbers, yeah. All such basic information like entry points, exit points, right? What we need to say. Yes, such basic constraints or the details like entry points, exit points, and other things. Right? Good to know. So that's useful for us to assign the workstations accordingly. There are certain lines of work like. Yeah, and the second step when we identify different workstations, resources, and all, that is what we understood the basic information. Like what are the different departments we need to locate and their space required. Let's summarize everything there. What else? Okay, for each department, each process. Okay. In fact, even that we can include under the second point, that is the different workstations, different departments, and their space required. In that, we identify whether that is desks or workers, maybe in terms of what we mean by space requirement means. Machines and workers. Good. What else we need? What is the main aim when we design process-oriented layout? Our aim is to minimize the material handling between departments, and that depends on two things. One is number of transactions between departments and the distance that they will have to travel. So we need to have such information also, which means number of transactions. Often when such decisions are made, layout designs decisions are made, when a new facility is planned, right? So that often we don't have past records of transactions. Can you understand it? Because this is for a new building that we are going to plan, so that we don't have the past data. So it would be about future transactions between different departments, right? So future transactions, kind of estimated transactions between departments. That is another information we need. Future transactions between different departments. And then, of course, depending on the distance travel, right? Maybe calculate the cost. We need to material handling cost related details. Go through 1 meter. What is the handling cost? Likewise, cost details should have been given. So we should have collected. I mentioned to you now. See, for the layout decisions are made for new designs, but at the same time, some existing layouts. Sometimes we might have to improve it, modify it, so that we can refer to the past data. Actual transactions between departments, actual material handling cost and all, such information can be generated. Whatever the system available data can be used. That is another type of input. What else? Is that enough? Number of transactions and the material handling cost. Well, if needed or if available, time taken for traveling and all, right? To complete the processing and all, right? Such information would be also useful. When we have such details in numbers, especially those number of transactions and the distance traveled in numbers, in quantitative, we can use this block diagram. Block diagram. Often do we have it? Sometimes. In such a case, we'll have to move to the second technique. We call it relationship diagramming. We'll come back to that after attending on the first technique. I hope we covered a lot of information. Thanks to you all. We identified what information we need. Now let's see. For an example, information is given here, and how to come up with the layout plan using this block diagramming technique. In this example, it says it refers to a factory that has mainly 6 departments to be located within the building. 6 departments. And each department is 20 by 20, 20 feet by 20 feet. That is the space requirement for each department. And the building dimensions are like 60 feet into 40 feet. Available space. And it says material handling cost is $1 per load. Between adjacent departments located close by, next to each other, adjacent departments. However, additional $1 will go through other departments. We need to construct from to matrix. That means transactions between departments from to. Right? Matrix, a summarized transaction, and then determine the space requirement that is given anyway. Develop an initial schematic diagram and determine the cost of this initial layout and try to improve the layout and prepare a detailed plan. The table here summarizes number of transactions. In fact, this is what we call transaction summary charts. Transaction summary charts, or what we call from to matrix. In fact, this is a two-way summary chart, two-way. Otherwise, it can be given as one-way summary. One-way summary, which means there will be figures here also. But it is a two-way summary chart. By looking at, we should be able to understand. Because figures are only in this quadrant, or in this side. So, which means that these are the 6 departments: assembly, painting, machine shop, receiving and shipping, and testing. So this 50 refers to transactions between 1 to 2 and 2 to 1 together, two sides. Two-way, because transactions can be two-way. From there to there to here. This 100 refers to A to 3 and 3 to 1. Sorry, 1 to 3 and 3 to 1. Total. Understanding? That is why, because that's two-way summary chart. Just imagine if it was a one-way summary chart, it could be 60 here, 40 here, 60 here, 40 here, together 60 plus 40, 100. So likewise, how it has that question, this will be given. Practically, we'll have to summarize, generate in numbers. So these are the number of transactions between departments. So what we have to do is develop an initial solution, because for a simple question like this, simple layout plans like this, we can initially use this traditional approach, what we call trial and error method. We try to manually process information and come up with a layout plan. That technique is called trial and error method. Right? In any trial and error method, it has to begin somewhere. We call it the initial solution. So we have to develop an initial solution first. And that is what we call initial schematic diagram. Initial solution that shows where to place which department. And then determine the cost of that plan first. And improve it. Right. Now we know the building arrangement. 60 by 40. And the space requirements for each department 20 by 20. So it would look like this. So the initial plan, initial layout plan, can be kind of arbitrary location of department. That is to begin with. So we need to begin with. So we arbitrarily allocate 1 here, 2 there, 3 here, 4, 5, 6 like that. Arbitrary. To begin. And that we consider as the initial. That clear? We start assigning the departments, workstations within the building. And then based on the initial solution, now we try to calculate the cost for the initial solution. And for that, we need to consider two things. One is number of transactions summarized here, and then the cost in details. Between adjacent departments, $1 per door. Between non-adjacent departments, $1 additional per load. Okay. So consider such, and then the initial solution, we try to now this shows only the transactions, number of transactions. So 1 here, 2 here, 3 there, 4, 5, 6. And when we show the transactions between departments that we taken from here, it would look like this. Can you check and understand it? Like this. 1 and 2 adjacent departments 50. And 1 and 3 anyway in this case non-adjacent departments 100. So likewise it shows the transaction. And then we can calculate the total cost for the initial storage. So for an example, between 1 and 2 adjacent department $1 per load. So that between 1 and 2 $50. When it comes to 1 and 3, from here to here $1 plus $1 here. So $2 per load. So that between 1 and 3, 100 into $2, $200. Right. For the initial solution, when you calculate the transportation cost, it comes at $570. It's for the initial solution. Now we try to improve the layout. What we mean by improvement? Relocate the departments. Right? Relocate the departments within the building in order to minimize this total cost. When we do it manually, trial and error method, we need to make such improvements one at a time, right? And do the improvement, then calculate the total cost and check whether we have improved it or not and move forward. Understood it? So assume you are to relocate the department. In the next improvement, what you would target at? Of course, you correctly mention it 1 to 3 because that is contributing to the higher material handling cost. Because this is the main non-additional load that contribute to higher transportation. So in the next improvement, we need to locate 1 and 3 close by. But at the same time, look at the other figures and identify at least 1 or 2 that you should not change. Otherwise, your improvement might be not effective. So in addition to this 100, what is the next highest? Here also you will see another 100, right? When you try to relocate, keep in mind, you should not relocate 3 and 6. I mean, you should not relocate it in a way that 3 and 6 are non-adjacent department. So at least these two pieces of information can be processed and come to the improve. One at a time they recommend. It takes longer time, number of steps, but we can process 2, 3, 4 information together and minimize number of steps. When we do so, we believe that horizontal movements, vertical movements, and also like this, diagonal movements are also permitted. That is how we generally consider. But there can be, in some questions, some restrictions. Only horizontal and vertical movements are possible. No diagonal movements likewise. In addition to that, there can be some other restrictions like Department 5. Let's say at the beginning, they might tell you Department 5 should have been located here only. One restriction. You can't change that. but you can adjust the others. Keeping such restrictions, we need to now improve it. Understood it? We manually do it. That is how we do it. Now, as you correctly pointed out, we initially targeted 1 and 3, and not to change 3 and 6. I mean, when we do it, don't say 3 here, because then 3 and 6 become non-mentioned. So as you can see, this is a revised layout where A has been taken here, 3 taken here without changing 6. Now what has happened? That 100 sorted out, this 100 kept remained same, and then only 2, that is 3 and 4, 20, 2 and 3, 30, non-mentioned. Of course, this is an improvement. If we recalculate the total material handling cost for the new improvement, it has 480. Compared to this, it's a better improvement. So likewise, we will go few more iterative steps and try to reallocate the part in such a way to minimize non-mentioned loads 0 and total material handling cost low. This is a simple example. Practical calculations would be little complicated. And such complicated examples, complicated calculations cannot be processed manually. And for such, there are software solutions, especially computer software solutions. But this is the basic. This is how we should process it when we do trial and error. Understood it? What is the name of this technique? What is the name of this technique? Look diagram. When we manually handle it, we call it trial and error method. But it can be used only for simple problems. For complicated problems, there are computer software solutions available. Graphical approach only works for small problems. For bigger problems, there are computer programs available. Techniques like flowcharts, multi-story capability, storage and container placement, material volumes, time and cost analysis, and such techniques are often used. You need to feed information and all the other restrictions. The app will generate alternative layouts for you. Not only the solution, but also the cost and other details, so that we can easily select. And as you can see here in the next slide, ProPlanner flow path calculator will generate material flow diagrams, calculate material handling distances, times, and cost. Color coded flow lines to show which departments are crucial, how can we improve them further. Helps identify excessive material handling and other details. So such techniques are ready. So you may see it here, a building and the different departments and how materials are moved. One place. ProPlan, flow path calculator. Now we have 3-dimensional software, facilities that allows managers to view possible layouts and assess process, material handling, efficiency, and safety issues using this data. It makes the lives of managers easy. 3D. Both factories and service contexts can be designed using these layout to smoothly conduct once it is designed, users will have to use it for years. That it has to be designed in a more efficient manner, suitable manner. Any questions? Before the debate, I might take 10-15 minutes. Now, this technique, block diagramming, can be used when we have quantitative data. But often we don't have quantitative data. Number of transactions between departments that we don't know exactly. Such a case, when quantitative data is not available, a technique called relationship diagramming can be used. What's the name of that? Relationship diagram. Based on the opinions or judgments of experts, where to place which departments, we call them location preferences taken from industry experts based on their judgments, can be considered and designed and located locations accordingly. That is called relationship diagramming. And what you see here is one such schematic diagram or relationship diagram that is used to summarize experts' opinion on location. This is called relationship chart or schematic diagram that summarizes the location preference. So for example, in this example, they are evaluating where to locate these 7 departments. 7 departments: accounting, marketing, operations, graphic arts, IT, social media relations, and launch area. And then is coding A, E, I, O, U, and X. A for absolutely necessary, E especially important, I important, O ordinary, okay, you know the difference, right? And then U unimportant, and X not desired. Undesired. Not desired, so undesired. So you know, in a relationship chart, there can be cages here. There can be cages that denotes the relationship between 2 departments at a time. For an example, this O shows the relationship between accounting and marketing. This A, accounting and operations. And this A, marketing and operations. So likewise, to denote relationships between any combination, any 2 departments, there's a case. Based on expert opinions, the necessary of the closeness, summarized and shown here. That information is used then to locate or relocate layouts, departments within the building. Clear? When we don't have numbers, but only the judgments of experts about location. How can we use such information in designing layouts? Say for example, you are given this exercise, write it down somewhere. Now, referring to the location preferences of each department, referring to the location preferences of each department. Locate the 7 departments. Locate the 7 departments. In a 60 feet by 20 feet building. 60 feet by 20 feet building. And assume each department require 20 feet into 20 feet now, 20 by 20. Space. Each department require 20 by 20 space required. Now just assume you have to assign now. Building dimensions are given 40 by 60, right? 40 by 60. 60 20. Make it 40 60. Otherwise. Uh, 40 60 will be dimension like this. Let's say 40 and 60. And available locations are like this. So if you are to assign these 7 departments using the location preferences summarized here, how can you do that? Well, first of all, we need to identify the most preferred location. So we should first of all consider the A-type relation. Identify A-type relationships here. How many A-type relationships are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Identify and write down here what are such departments. So we are A, accounting and operations. That is one sub. And then marketing and operations. Graphic cards and IT. And graphic cards and social media relations. So write down such summary information in one slide. Those 4 departments have, should be located absolutely necessary. They are very important. Then of course we need to think about undesirable, whether there are some undesirable departments. So we should not locate them close by. So now check the summary here. Fortunately or unfortunately, we don't have X-type relationships here in this, right? So we don't have to worry about it. So any department can be located anywhere. But had there be one Yeah, there is one or two. We need to particularly locate them away, not close by. Those are the two main important concerns. One is absolutely necessary, and then undesirable, and then of course other priorities like especially important. Then we consider the specially important department, and we give least preference to other like important. Yes, somewhat if we can accommodate other changes, that's all right. Or else we can improvement attempts we can do that. Understood it? Then let's try to come up with an initial plan and check whether that is in line with these preferences. And keep improving it. Is that clear? So I just explained this to you. Now it's a systematic way to plan a layout or evaluate an existing layout and improve even in your department style. Because you don't have the numbers, but based on your preferences, you can evaluate the existing layout and keep improving the layout. What's the doubt? Yeah, that's good. Okay. Any questions? And I hope you can understand. This is about the relationship chart shows only the location preferences between two departments. Each time only two departments are considered, but there can be many other practical layout issues like entry point, exit points. Certain areas are already used for some other departments that we can't use for this. Such constraints will be there when we try to accommodate these location preferences in a given space, and accordingly come up with a better layout plan and improve it.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, hello.
Sir, can you re-explain this? How to read this chart?
To understand how to read it, is that?
Yes, sir. To identify the relationship between these departments.
I hope you understood. This in a way a summary that shows the judgments of experts, right? So the location preferences have been summarized using this coding A, E, I, O, U, and then X, as shown here. Now the relationship chart, you get one gauge for each pair, right? So for an example now, this O refers to accounting and marketing. So as the A here, that refers to accounting and operations. And the next A here, that is marketing and operations. So likewise, each gauge refers to the location preferences between two departments. So considering them, if we are provided the location information like the building dimension, space requirements of the departments, and other constraints like entry points, exit place, and then already reserved places likewise, then we have to consider such practical constraints also when considering these location preferences and identify where to place which department. When we do so, we should first prioritize A-type relations, absolutely necessary. And at the same time, we need to consider if there are any non-desirable or X-type relationships. Then try to accommodate those two first in the initial layout plan. And then if we are able to consider others, then we should give the priority to E, especially important type relationships, and allocate places accordingly. Once we come up with the initial layout plan, by considering the possibilities, we can accommodate the other changes also, like important departments can be also located close by if that does not disturb A, E, or X type relationships. Right. So, with an example, you will easily find it. If you need, I will upload one example taken from a textbook so that you can easily understand. Was that clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Now, one might ask, how can once we prepare the initial layout plan, how can we improve it? Now, like the one we saw there, the color coded line system here, the same technique is manually used when we try to improve it. Say for an example now, for A-type relationships, we use 5 lines. E-type relationships, we use 4 lines. So as the I 3 lines, O 2 lines, U 1 line. And X-type relationship, we denote using the zigzag line. So once we come up with the initial solution, we can use those line codes to see whether we have lengthy 5 lines that we can minimize. Do we have any zigzag lines that denotes undesirable relationship? And in that way, in the next improvement, we try to make it. That is called line coding for AEIOUN. 5 lines for A-type relationships, 4 for E likewise, and for X, zigzag lines. If there are zigzag lines on your initial solution, that means you can improve it. Clear? I hope so. We talked about how to design process-oriented layout. And let's go for a day break. And after the break, we will also discuss about other layout types, especially product-oriented layouts and their design techniques. So that is the decision.
So I can get it from the shop.
Can get down there?
Not can be there in the shop next to
Like, I no. Go there. Thank you. Thank you. be
Protection.
I think even in here now, because we're here the part here now, we can only this number, right? So we can move to the remaining part of the handout. I'm not going to explain everything. I mean all the other layout types, but this one, if you need, we can have a quick discussion on other layout types. But this one as one main layout type used in many industrial sectors in both manufacturing and service. We need to know what this type of layout. We call them product-oriented layout. Product-oriented layout, also known as flow shop layout. And that is exactly what we mean by assembly line array. Assembly line. Product-oriented. Now, what you see here, this is an exact product-oriented layout that has a definite starting point, and then workstations are arranged next to each other and connected to each other, and that's a unique straight flow, and then one ending. That is a typical product-oriented layout. So these are used to manufacture standardized outputs, highly efficient manner by repeatedly performing the same activity. Such we call product-oriented. So these layouts are arranged, as you can see here, these layouts are arranged according to the manufacturing sequence, progressive steps of a product. Our product is assembled from starting point to the end in the same manner the layout is arranged. So that is why they are called product-oriented layouts, which are capable of producing standardized outputs highly efficient. In case of services, it's standardized services that we can produce. So product layout involves in locating the transforming resources entirely for the convenience of transform resources. How conveniently we can process them till the end of the production process. So the product follows a pre-arranged route. Every product will go through the same route. Now previously, different orders, different products, different routes. But here, every material, every product will go through the same process. That is how the layout arrangement is. That route is arranged according to the sequential steps of the production process, according to which the processes have been, okay, the layout has been arranged. So there's a line flow process here. And this is why they are called flow layouts or line layouts. The flow is clear and predictable and therefore relatively easy to control. So we often see workstations are used in this type of layouts, and workstations are connected to each other. Like say, this is a paper manufacturing process where the steps are arranged. The layout is arranged according to the manufacturing progressive steps. So in many production steps, like many production contexts, like shoes, garment factories, chemical plants, automobiles, cement manufacturing, oil refineries, and many other situations, we see product oriented layouts are being used. Even when organizing mass immunization programs, like during the COVID period, the same treatment was given to everyone, vaccination, and to arrange the vaccination centers, the same concept has been used. So that we can expedite the processing and standardized service can be given. So other characteristics of product layouts are given here. This can be used to produce standardized products. A few varieties for standardized products efficiently. The previous case, the resources are flexible, but here resources are specialized. Each workstation, each machine, or each machine established in one workstation will be doing the same processing every time. Specialized resources are there. And often these type of layouts are relatively capital intensive. But there can be manual assembly lines also to some extent. But mostly these workstations and the flow arrangements are capital intensive. Machines and automated processes. Flexibility is low. Very difficult to change the volume and the designs as per the market requirements. Instead, they are used to produce relatively standardized products in high volumes. Processing rates are fast, of course, and material handling costs are lower due to various different reasons, especially workstations are located close by and next to each other. Every product will go through the same route, so that no need of transporting the work in progress from different departments to other. Every product will go through the same route. In fact, in such arrangements, workstations are connected using conveyor belts. At a given rate, the belt is rotating and connecting the workstation, so that no additional material handling cost. Space requirements are also consequently low, because no need of handling machines, equipment, manual work and all. Workstations are neatly and concisely arranged, limited space. So space utilization is extremely high here. those are the common other characteristics. However, to deploy this type of layouts, we need to be able to produce in high volume. In other words, market demand for the product we produce will be at higher level. Then only this type of layout should be useful. The market demand should be higher so that we can utilize equipments and other resources at a higher utilization rate. Product demand should be stable enough to justify high investment in specialized equipment. Can you understand it? We'll have to go for automation. We'll have to go for highly expensive machines. That investment should be justified with high product demand. Product is standardized or approaching a phase of product life cycle that justifies investment, like growth stage or the maturity stage. That they might require to change the layout into product oriented layout. Supplies of raw materials and components should be at higher levels, and uniform quality should have been maintained. Otherwise, such product oriented layouts, highly efficient, cannot be utilized for the best performing levels. The advantages are given here. Low variable cost per unit because of the efficiency. Low material handling cost because workstations are located next to each other. No additional material handling efforts. Reduce work in progress inventories because processing rates are faster. Easier training and supervision of employees, if any, right? Because the workers are doing minimum contribution in workstation. Their work is all repeated work. And rapid throughput, output volume is high. And that comes fast. Main disadvantages are there only for products having high demand. This type of layout would be appropriate. And work stoppage at any point ties up the whole problem, whole operation. Delay in one workstation may delay the subsequent workstation. Lack of flexibility in product. We can't change the product only for standardized products. For production rate, volume cannot be changed. That is, once that is determined, we'll have to operate at that level, at the same product, most of. But now there are advancements. They have product layout plans, like flexible. They have overcome some of these constraints now. Right. So what you see, some examples for product-oriented layouts. This is a kind of manual process. You can see pair, two individuals supported by some assistants complete a certain processing work, and the work in progress kept on the belt, and the next step will connect it and collect it and do the processing and kept back on the track, likewise, until the products are collected at the end of the process. And this is the first time they have used it for, as I have explained to you last time, at Ford, when assembling Model T car. This is the first time they have used it. Where we see some manual work, mostly at each workstation. And now we see a lot of robot arms completing mobile processing, different workstations. And this is even better one, highly efficient one. And this is one of the Nissan's factories, of which the processing activities are almost 100% automated assembly work. So once the chassis is introduced to the process and completed, and it is completed in workstations, they say every 9 minutes they are capable of getting an output at the end. Every 9 minutes, one completed car. Does that mean one car can be assembled within 9 minutes? No, the layout arrangement is such. You will understand it when we discuss how to design it. How within 9 minutes they can get a car. Every 9 minutes they get a car. So that is how they are managing the capacity by arranging the layout in such a way. These two are very connected and well connected decisions. Process selection and then the layout plan and then the capacity. Not only in services, manufacturing firms that is used in services also will give you a few examples. You might see. Then other layout types are there. I will come back to them a little later after showing you how to design product layout because these are important. But since your understanding is fresh, let me go to assembling or designing product layouts and complete that within 20 to 30 minutes and come back to other slides. From here onwards, we try to understand what are the techniques available for designing product-oriented layout. What is the main objective of designing product-oriented layout? Ready? I hope so. So the main objective of designing product-oriented layout is to, as you can see here, something called minimize the time imbalance between machines, between workstations or workers while meeting the required output. You may not understand it now, but read it again. Minimize the imbalance. Or else we call it equalize the time required of each workstation. Does that mean anything to you? Anyone having some water? Some water will be fine. Right. Minimize the imbalances. So in other words, equalize the time of workstations. And there is only one technique for this. And that is known as assembly line balance, which is the technique used to design product-oriented layout. Have you heard of it before? Have you studied it before? Line balancing, assembly line balance. So there are a few steps we can quickly learn. In fact, good to be aware. Although you are not going to use it, your activities are not arranged as a product-oriented flow, right? Or like the previous one we discussed. But having a little knowledge on this would be useful. Right. When it comes to line balancing, there are few steps to follow. And type of information we need, as it goes for the previous thing. You should be able to understand how the layout arrangement is done in this case. What is the main characteristic? According to the manufacturing sequence, from starting point to the end, right? So that is the main idea. And then we try to divide work among workstations to minimize work delays, equalize time. And for that, we need some information. Now, we need some information about the process. Like, what are the specific tasks? What is specific tasks to be completed? We need such information. Write it down, right? I mean, you will later learn with an example, so you don't need to write it. We need to know what are the tasks that we need to follow. and then in which order they should be organized. Order of activity. And then of course time of each task. Task time. And then space building and the space availability, all such information. Plus, what is the output rate we are aiming at? How many products we want to produce? And then the production time available. Such information is needed for this type of calculation. In case of exam questions, such will be given. But for practical usage, you as managers will have to generate such info. Right. These are the steps to follow when doing line balancing exercises, assembly line balancing exercises. We need to start with precedence relationships, the activities and in which order we need to cover it completely. But you see here, kind of airplane assembly, where certain activities are completed in one workstation and the aircraft is forwarded to the next workstation. And then after completing some processes, that will be completed to the next workstation. So that precedence order should be shown in a diagram. We call it precedence diagram. And there we draw it and show the times and all. Then we need to calculate something called cycle of the process. That means the speed of the process should be determined. And for that, this equation can be used. We will learn how to do it. So the required cycle time, the speed, the required speed will be calculated using this equation. And then we need to calculate something called theoretical minimum number of workstations. And for that, we will use this equation. And then considering such information and the precedence requirements, we are to assign tasks into workstations to equalize the time. That we call work assignment. Assigning the tasks into workstations. And when we do so, there are some rules to follow. We call them assignment rules. These are two main rules. There can be some other rules also. That is used to assign tasks. We call them heuristics or assignment rules. Right? You'll come to know with an example. Right. Then, once we finalize the line balancing, we need to evaluate whether the answer is satisfactory or not. Referring to the efficiency of the line balancing situation and the total idle time. And for that, we will use this equation in the next slide to calculate the efficiency. I will show you how to assess the total idle time of the solution. So that is how we are going to use this technique. What is the name of this technique? Assembly line balancing. Very simple. Once you do one or two examples, you will be familiar with the steps and the equations also. You should be familiar with these equations because in exam questions, if any, you won't get the equation. You should know how to calculate it. You know how you can quickly know. Right, to understand what we mean by cycle time before going to calculations. Before this slide, now assume that there's a process. There's a process that is arranged as an assembly line. You know, process is divided into tasks. That it has three tasks, A, B, and C, and only one flow repeatedly operate. Three tasks are arranged in an assembly line. What is given here? The time for each task. We call it task time. 3 minutes for task A, 4 minutes for task B, and 2 minutes for task C. Try to answer this question. What is the total processing time of a product? When a new material is introduced to A, how long it would take to complete all three processes and come out from the process? That is called total processing time or flow time of the process. The flow time. Each product may take 9 minutes. 3 plus 4 plus 2, 9 minutes. That is the flow time, processing time. Okay. When this process is arranged as an assembly line, that means repeatedly workstations are operated. A is moved to, and item is moved from A to B, and at the same time, another product coming to A. When the product from B to C, product is moved from B to C, the next item will come to B. So like repeated. That is what we mean by assembly line. So what is the speed of the assembly line? Which means what will be the time gap between two outputs? That we call cycle time of the process or speed of the process. So if the arrangement is like this, in your opinion, should we wait 9 minutes, the flow time? Will that be the time gap between two products? Or else something else? Of course, no 9 minutes, right? You don't have to wait 9 minutes. So what would be the time gap between two products? You say 4 minutes. Is there any particular reason for that? So B takes 4 minutes. Yeah, B takes 4 minutes so that you think. Any other? With workstations repeatedly operate. 2 minutes. Every 2 minutes. Some might think every 2 minutes we might hit the out. Any other names? 2 minutes. What is the main reason for that? Because that is the time of the last activity. Is that? That is the time of the last activity, so that every 2 minutes you get. However, that is not correct. That is not correct, but that's a good attempt. What would be the speed of the project? One might think it's 3 minutes because every 3 minutes A can complete the product and then go. Or some might say divide or at this time together divided by 3 workstations, so that average is 3 minutes, so that we can expect products every 3 minutes. So what is your answer? What would be the speed of this assembly line? I'm going to think 4 minutes. We got that answer from one of your friends, and there is another one believing. Anyone else? In fact, the correct answer is 4 minutes. Every 4 minutes, they'll be able to get an output from the. Can you understand that? One might think, although they do 4 minutes, they take only 2 minutes. But they get another product after 4 minutes only. So that after releasing this product, they will have to wait for 2 minutes. And then comes the next product. Within 2 minutes, they complete delivery. So that together, two idling and two processing, total 4 minutes. Can you understand it? So usually in an assembly line, the speed depends on the activity, the task that takes the longest processing time. So we call that the cycle time. Time of the activity that takes longest process. Which determines the speed of the process. So when we try to balance the line, we try to address the cycle. We try to address the cycle. Understood it? So we try to balance the line around the cycle time. In such a case, not the activity time, but depending on the processing requirements, we have to decide what is the required cycle time. Is an example you will understand. And then arrange the line accordingly. Let's take one example. Now assume that you are given this information for a product assembly. This is we call it precedence data for wing component, of an aircraft. That part. Assembly line for that has this number of tasks, A to I. And these are the task times for each task. 10 minutes for task A, 11 minutes for task B, likewise. So that the total task time is 65 minutes, given in minutes. To arrange this wing component, it takes 65 minutes. What are these? These are we call them precedence requirements or prerequisite, which means before starting each task, which task should have been completed. Such information is a must for us to draw the precedence diagram and use in the line balance. If you are given such information, you can now draw the precedence chart or precedence diagram and start. That is the first step. And then consider other information and do the line balance. Right? So we should know how to draw precedence diagrams. And for that, there are different approaches, but simple precedence diagrams may have these two symbols. One is a node, a cycle. Node. Activity A within a node that shows this is a task. Then, of course, an arrow to show the flow, which direction it moves. Right. Using such, try to construct precedence diagram for the information given from where to start, how to flow. The answer is given, but you need to know how to draw it. Quickly, we have a limited time. For 35. Is that? We have very limited time. So quickly try this. So use this information, precedence requirements, and the task and task times. Draw the precedence diagram that shows in which order to complete the task. Now, since you all are doing it first time, let's help you with that. Now, how to understand from where to start? Well, we need to look at this precedence column, this column, and identify are there any activity without any previous. Those could be the starting point. Activities without any prior task. So what is there any? In fact, there is one. So there is one activity that is task A without any prior activity. That could be a starting point. In this case, this starting point. But in some other cases, there can be 2, 3 starting points parallel. But in this case, only one. So that we start from there. Simply. A. How we understood it? By looking at prerequisites. A task that has no any prior task. Then we can simply move. Now, A, we understood we are today. Then comes B, we try. What is the prerequisite of A? It says after A, B can be started. So, after A, B can be started. Coming to C, after B, C can be started. Coming to D, after B, D can be started. So likewise, we can continue and complete the precedence diagram. Give it a try to complete it. Shown here. And in fact, you may see, or if you could derive, or if you could draw something like that, that's really great. And we can also show the task time close to the node so that it is easier for us to continue. Task A 10 minutes, 10 minutes, task B 11 minutes. So likewise, we can show the task time. Figure like this. We call it precedence diagram, which is a must. Now it shows us in which order technically these activities should be arranged. That we can't find it. Okay. Can we quickly move to the next step? Right. The next step is what? Determine the cycle time, required cycle time. And for that, we need to use this equation. Available production time per given time period, could be per day or per week or whatever, and divided by required output for the same period in units. So it says here they are expected to produce 40 components, and per day only available 480 minutes. So calculate the required cycle time quickly. See. Equals production time available divided by output requirement for the same period. 480 minutes and 40 units. We get an answer like 12 minutes, right? That is the required cycle time. Required cycle time. And then calculate the second thing, what is called a theoretical minimum number of workstations. Theoretical minimum number of workstations. Minimum number of workstations. That is calculated by dividing flow time, the total task time, that is given as 65 minutes, right? 65 minutes divided by cycle time, that is 12 minutes. Five point 42. And make it a point. Every time we round it up to the next complete value, above value. That should be 6 workstations. Every time we round it up to the next complete value. 6 stations. So now we are done with it. We drew the procedures diagram, we calculated the required cycle time, we calculated theoretical minimum number of rows. In fact, what is that meaning? This 12 minutes per unit. What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of theoretical, cycle time here? That should be the speed of the process, which means every 12 minutes, we should be able to get an output. For what? To produce the given output, required output within the available time. Understand it? If they can produce 12, if we can expect 12 one product every 12 minutes time, then we can meet the production target within the production time available. So now what we try to do? Now we try to assign tasks. There are different tasks here into workstations in a way that they can be completed within 12 minutes. That is what we call equalizing the workstation times or line balancing. As you can see here, when we assign tasks, we have to use some rules. We call them heuristics or assignment rules, which could be different types. Let's say these are the two most commonly used rules. One is called longest task time. So depending on the task, you will understand it, right? When we need to prioritize tasks, we need to use assignment rules. So too often we use two. One initially, if that is not sufficient, go to the second one. So thereby select task. We will understand it with an example. Now this example you will understand. The answer is given, but I will show you few steps how to assign tasks so that you can learn it faster. Right. So to assign tasks, you need a template like this. You need a template like this. Workstation, remaining time. Feasible task. Task assigned. least these four columns. So we need to maintain like this to assign tasks. You can draw it so that you can complete it with me for the viewing step. Then you can learn how to do it. Workstation number, remaining time, physical task or tasks, and the task assigned for that workstation. Right. Hope you are ready. I will start with the workstation 1. Workstation 1. How many minutes we have within the workstation 1? That is the cycle time. That is 12 minutes. So we have 12 minutes. So what we need to assign now? According to the precedence diagram model that we can't find by looking at it, from where to begin? A, of course. No any other beginning. So no any other options. We have to select the first. So that is workstation A. Sorry, task A is feasible. We selected task A. No any other feasible task. We assign the task A to the workstation. Now after assigning, how many minutes we have? It takes 10 minutes for the task A. So remaining only 2 minutes. Now can we accommodate any other task here into the same workstation? So we can't because only 2 minutes available. So then we'll have to conclude it there. No task, no further task. So we consider this as the idle time at workstation 1 and we move to the second workstation, which again has 12 minutes. Now, what to select? According to the precedence diagram, what tasks are possible? So, what
Hello,
tasks?
sir.
Yes, hello.
So the whiteboard is not visible to us, sir.
So I will slightly move this screen, but then is it visible now? This corner?
Not much, sir, but we'll manage.
Yeah, let me read it for you so that you can understand. So there is one column called workstation and the other column remaining time, then the feasible task and the task assigned. So those are the 4 columns. So far we just completed one workstation that had 12 minutes at the beginning. The task A, that is the starting point of the process, is the feasible task, no any other work. So we assign that. And after that, we had only 2 minutes remaining. We can't accommodate any other task, so that we consider that as idle time. And concluding there, move the step workstation 2, so that we still have 12 minutes there for the workstation 2, and try to consider what are the tasks possible. What are the possible tasks? B possible, of course, after A, B possible, and then E. B and E. There are 2 tasks now, out of which we need to prioritize one. According to the precedence diagram, technically 2 tasks are possible. We need to prioritize. That is when we use assignment rules. This is a tie situation. To break the tie and prioritize one, we use assignment rules. As I mentioned to you, in the example, there are different rules. We can consider the first one, that is longest task time. That means the task that takes longest time to come out of these two. So B and E, we compare them, B and E, and try to prioritize based on longest processing time. So unfortunately, both requires same processing time, 11 minutes. So that first assignment rule doesn't work here. So that we move to the second rule, we call it tiebreaker rule. And the most number task that has most number of following tasks. Which means now in the precedence diagram, we can identify different tasks. Like now we have to consider B and A. We calculate how many following tasks each task is having. Say E has only 2 following tasks, H and I. Whereas B has C 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, sorry, 5. Understood it? D has 5 following tasks, whereas D has only 2. So we prioritize B based on the second heuristic. Understood it? So we prioritize B and assign B the workstation 2, which requires 11 minutes. And after that, we have only 1 minute. Can we accommodate any? No, we can't. So that becomes an idle time at workstation 2. And we move to workstation 3. Now, what are the possible tasks? Anyway, remaining time, we have 12 minutes. Remaining tasks, each possible is that? Yes. And what else? Only E. According to the precedence diagram, after completing B, C and D also become feasible, right? E and D. E anyway possible after completing A. That is why I included that rule. Now, again, that's a tie situation according to the precedence diagram. To break the tie, we apply the first one. What is the first rule? Try to prioritize the task having longest process. So that E, can we accommodate it? Yes, we can, because E has the longest process. So we select E and assign it there. It requires 12 minutes, sorry, 11 minutes. Then remaining 1 minute idling. Can we accommodate C or D there? We don't have enough time. So that we consider that as idle and move to workstation 4. And then we have still 12 minutes there. C possible, D possible. Is that only? Or are they only? No, even if. Now we have 3 tasks to prioritize one. Which task we prioritize? We go to the first rule, right? That is the task having most number of following tasks. So C has 1, 2, 3. D has 1, 2, 3. H has only 1. So we have to consider now C and D and select 1, because C and D having most similar. And then we go to the second tiebreaker that says the highest number of processing time. So when we compare C and D, we select C. Understood it? Now, H anyway out from the first rule. What is first rule? What is first rule? Longest task time. All right, okay. Yes, we can. Sorry, I made a mistake. Right. H can be accommodated here. H. Since we go by the first rule, that is longest processing time, H. And then after we have only 1 minute, that's idling. We can't accommodate C and D, right? And we move to the next. Likewise, we move. We'll have to go for one more thing. We have 12 minutes. And then we have C, we have D. That's all. They are the only activities. Out of these, both are having no. C is having longest processing, so that we prioritize C, and C requires 5 minutes. We then have 7 minutes remaining, and D become possible. No any other task, right? No any other task. So we accommodate these here that requires 4 minutes, so that 3 remaining minutes. Isn't so? And we try to consider other possible tasks. Is there any task? If possible, right? Because it requires only 3 minutes. So that it can be accommodated, and thereafter this becomes 0. And we conclude it and move to workstation 6. And likewise. So that is why, that is how we assign tasks. And anyway, here doesn't matter in which order it comes, whether this I can exactly remember how workstation 4 is for this thing. Anyway, there is no any difference between this now, right? But we need to have a clear reason for that. Anyway, for the time being, just keep it there. So this is how the tasks are assigned to different workstations. According to the required cycle time. And then we can calculate the efficiency of the solution. Flow time divided by actual number of workstation and cycle time. We get an answer like 90.3%. 9.3%. Usually about 85, 88%. Of course, about 90% efficiency rate refers to a better solution. So we can say that the line balancing solution we arrived at is satisfactory depending on the efficiency rate, higher efficiency rate, which is higher than 90%. And when calculating the total idle time of the solution, which equals to 7 minutes, when we add all idle times, that indirectly can be calculated using this 6 stations, actual number of workstations into 12 minutes minus flow time 7 minutes, which indicates also relatively a better answer. There won't be any other way to improve it. This was a very simple example. Having only 10, 11 tasks, and activities are straightforward, tasks are straightforward. Like such we call line balancing. Equalize the time between workstation. Any questions? You understand it, right? Okay. Right. What do you think? Okay. To design such. So that we continue. Since we have discussed it, can I explain? When you do 1 or 2 examples, you will be familiar with it. Without any difficulty, you can attempt. Since you are okay with it, yeah. C, D, and I. Where I to start I both H and then after H what G, right? So after H and G only I can be start. So the primary rule is to go by the precedence diagram. When there are high situations, we apply Simon rules to break the cycle. Right. Hope you will attend to these exams are given. That's given there, right? It handout. It handout. Is this the Simon example there? Yeah. So at home, just try to develop precedence diagram. Calculate the required cycle time, theoretical minimum number of workstations, and then considering these Simon rules. Have you got the final solution also in the handout? Solution. Have you got the solution also? Yeah. So try it later. And efficiency rate. Any other question? Coming to service industries, have you seen any service facility layout where you can think? I mean, you very relate product layout they use it there, and then you have balancing management something. Service process. In offering what type of services, product oriented layout can be used, customized services or standardized services. Of course, standardized services. Right. And then of course, how about the volume? Volume requirements. Right. So that we can understand when standardized services are offered at high volume, this could be a good solution. Not necessarily customized services. Now there are some adjustments. Let me give you one example now. Of course, during the Corona period, we have been to this vaccination center organized by Army. This Viharmadevi Park. Somewhat similar process layout have been adopted because so that they can process patients faster, individuals faster than any other place. That is how they manage the speed. There are many other phases, step by step. One patient at a time they process, but here batches they process. Exactly one good example. Where else you have seen? How much? Yes. What is the place you have seen this? Have you seen it somewhere? Auto Mirage, yes, they are using it. They're using it. And usually places where their capacity requirements are relatively high. Demo, for Mercedes-Benz and other vehicles, and then of course Toyota, BMW, because their demand is relatively high. Then of course places like motor traffic department. Motor traffic department, in a way, when it comes to issuance of driving license, immigration office, passport office, somewhat similar, but little different because they are processing as batches, not as individual items, but somewhat similar. They process customers as batches, 10 at a time, 15 at a time, 25 at a time, like us, but it has been arranged as a product layer. Possible. Go back to that summary. For batch processing, product layouts are possible. Technically possible. But it's arranged. Now, say one example. Then you can answer this question now. Place like Auto Mirage or BMW or Toyota. Now you know vehicle servicing, standardized vehicle services, full service. We have number of tasks. Like this, number of tasks. And let's say that all the required tasks, standardized full service, can be completed within 50 minutes. There are 30 plus tasks, let's say, different tasks that can be completed within 50 minutes. And whatever the allowances, they remain, they maintain 10 minutes additional. So within 1 hour, they should be able to complete one task. Right? And their capacity requirement for the demand requirement is such, they should be able to release and give the service to 18 tasks per hour. Within an hour, they should be able to give service to 18 tasks. So, to give full service to car, it takes 1 hour. 1 hour. That has 30 plus tasks. Maybe initially under motion or the other thing, then what do you think? And then within all the other tasks, within 1 hour they can complete. And then output requirement is such, within an hour they should be able to claim 18 cars. Now, if you are to advise them with this knowledge, is there a way that we can arrange the layout, give full service to 18 cars within an hour? It's so how? By designing the layout, aligning with the product oriented layout. I mean, their labor requirements and other machine requirements can be decided later, depending on the capacity and the layout arrangement. So if they can accommodate with 18 cars per hour, assume that they are operating for 7 hours, how many cars they can provide the service per day? At 18 into 7, it's a good number. How can they design the layout to cater 18 cars per hour. Having 18 service bases, that is the fundamental thing. If we have 18 service bases, what they call it, bases, right? Service base, yes, service base. 18 they can, but practically arranging 18 may not be possible. It requires a lot of space. Then there are issues. That's a starting point to think. At least if we can have 18 bays, we can provide cater the demand. Now we have to calculate that. If we want to reduce it to 9 bays, which is relatively practical, right? 9 bays, what we will have. We can assign, right? We can assign labor and how to arrange the process now. Well, that is how, exactly how can we arrange? Like, if we can divide the activities into 2 workstations each and arrange as 9, right? So 9, we'll be able to have it. If you want to reduce the number of bays into 6, what we'll have to do? We'll have to divide the process into 3 phases. 3 phases, right? And arrange 6 bays. So 3 into 6, 18. The story. So by arranging the layout. Now, in such a case, now we have to have 6 bays. 1 bay is divided into 3 phases. What should be the cycle time? Within an hour, we need to complete the car. And for that, we are going to have 3 phases. So what should be the maximum time we should be spending at 1 bay? Well, sorry, 1 phase. 20 minutes. 20 minutes at each. 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. So the cycle time would be 20 minutes then. So that what we'll have to do then, all 30 plus tasks should be divided into 3 workstations that they can manage tasks within 20 minutes. Can you understand? So that is the way of thinking. So they can easily plan the operations, arrange the layout, and have the capacity required. Services like many places, this can be. There are some other additional concepts also. I will topic here. Assume that now this case is okay because car wash activities are anyway less than 20 minutes. Assume that when you divide the task times, there are some tasks that is higher than the cycle time. For example, say required cycle time is 6 minutes. That means within 6 minutes, you should be able to complete all the tasks. The workstation. There is this one task that requires 8 minutes. 8 or 12 minutes. Then we'll have to give up the entire assignment, right? Is that? Or is there a way that we can accommodate it? We'll have to look for some alternative arrangement. Like what? Of course. We'll have to do some modification. Just imagine such practical situations. There are some alternative ways. One is such, maybe by changing the technology, we'll be able to expedite the processing and make it lower than 6 minutes. Manual tasks can be converted into automated, or maybe with some innovative process technology, we can reduce the time. Or else we can split the task, we call it. Right? Technically, right, try to divide it. Some area, splitting the task here. Or sometimes enhancing the capacity. One worker take 8 minutes. We assign 2 workers, right? And arrange the process into 2 departments, two steps. We call it dynamic, right? So that all the other workstations, products are coming at this point, we divide that into 2. And one product is given to this, one product is given to that. So likewise, parallelly they manage it and move to manage the real speed to move to the next line. So like, so there are different. Anyway, hope you could understand layout planning can overcome, can be used to address a lot of operational issues, especially capacity related, resources related. Right. We have, I mean, I will spend only 10 minutes or so to quickly go through the other 2 layout types. One is called fixed position layout. That is not mandatory for you. Fixed position is relatively different one. Now, with the 2 layout types we discussed, products are moving. Products that we need to produce, moving. So customers are moving, or information is moving. But in fixed position layout, this is quite different. Products kept at one place. Product that we want to produce, material kept at one place. In services, customer or the information kept at one place. Due to various different reasons. Maybe the product is too bulky to move, or technically not possible to move. It kept at one place. All the material, all the resources, transforming resources, machines, labor, equipments are taken to the product, and then product is built there. Such we call fixed position layout. Just assume large scale ships. In such manufacturing, it is constructed while keeping at one place. Understood? All the required tools and equipments, machinery taken to the site and processed. Building construction that has several phases. Piling, ground clearing, foundation, construction. So different phases. So different equipments are taken and taken to the site. And the product kept at one place. Such we call fixed position layout. Instead of material flowing through an operation, recipient of the processing, that is product, for customer and services, is stationary, unmoving. And equipment, machinery, and plant and other working staff to do the processing moves, come in and do the processing as necessary. So likewise, so other details are given here. Construction sites, shipbuilding, and then in high skill services like open heart surgery, service restaurants could be good examples for that. So unique characteristics are equipments, workers, materials, and other resources are brought to the site. Product remains at one location. Customers remain at one location. High skilled labor is required. Use of resources, equipments, machinery, and all would be at low level. Utilization would be at low level. So heart surgeries. Patient laying on the bed. Tools and equipments and other machinery are used. Same at the dentist place. Surgeon papers, shooting a film at a location requires its question layer. Coming to the last one, hybrid layout or cellular layout. Now, this is to get the advantages of high product layouts and process layouts. Product layouts are capable of producing high efficiency, and process layouts are capable of maintaining flexibility. So, using this work cell arrangement for hybrid layouts, we try to have both advantages. A work cell is a kind of process arrangement from starting to the end in a product manner or product oriented manner. So likewise, there can be few cells. Give an example. Now, this is a functional layout. Do you agree? This is a functional layout, similar resources together. That is used to produce these 4 different products in a flexible manner. So component 1, A, B, C, D. And they are manufactured using different routes. Flexibility is there, but efficiency is not there. So by grouping them into products and arranging them as clusters or cellular, one cell, which make it a product flow from the beginning to the end for this compound. And for that, another cell. And for component 3, another cell, likewise. 4 cells are used to produce 4 products. So efficiency is there. Since they have all 4 cells, flexibility is also there. That technology is called group technology, GT. To divide the products according to the groups and then have different cells for different groups. That is it. There are a lot of advantages with work cells if we go towards end of it. The advantages and disadvantages of others are also given here. To conclude the topic, you should know that there are 2 rules when deciding layouts for different operations. Since we completed process selection and layout both, now you should be able to understand these 2 principles. Principle 1. Resources in low volume, high variety processors. Low volume, high variety. Processors should be arranged to cope with the irregular flow. Flexible. Low volume, high variety. Customized products in low volume may require irregular functional layout. Process oriented layout. Rule 2. Resources in high volume, low variety processes. High volume, low variety. Standardized products in high volume may require both regular flow. Both regular flow. That means product oriented. So applying it, this shows it nicely. From fixed position to functional to cell and finally to a product. Continuous how it may be. Technically, this is how you should understand it. The link between processes and layout. Characteristics of good manufacturing layouts. Straight flow line should be there. Backtracking should be kept at minimum. Backtracking, go backward. Going backward in the process should be kept minimum. Only forward flows. Production time predictable. Little inner stage storage of materials. Work in progress, minimum. Open plant flows so everyone can see what's happening. bottleneck operations under control, workstations close to each other, orderly handling and the storage of materials. Sorry, orderly handling and the storage of materials. No unnecessary rehandling of materials. Easily adjustable and changing conditions. When it comes to face-to-face services and their layouts, some of these concepts are relevant. Because face-to-face services like supermarkets to banks, customers may come, service providers may interact with them and create the service and deliver. So that the layout should facilitate that. Some of these, especially outsiders like customers, should be able to easily understand the service flow, should have adequate waiting facilities, should facilitate easy communication with customers, should be able to easily maintain customer observation, what they do and know. Clear exit and entry points with adequate checkout capabilities if needed, like supermarkets and all, department stores. They should be able to collect the payments, do the clear checkout, and other details. Balance between waiting and service areas, minimum walking movements, material movements, and of course lack of clutter. When it comes to office, one main important point is that workers will have to spend there for few hours per day. So that it should be facilitating human interaction and communication. The details will be fine. There are certain scientific findings called ergonomics findings. The scientific findings that facilitate human and machine interactions. So when arranging the office layouts and certain service layouts, even for your day-to-day life, your office arrangements, personal room arrangement, some of these ergonomic findings are very useful. This is to arrange the working desks and all. For almost all the purposes, there are findings. So if you go through these tips, that some of you may be aware, clear. You can improve the working conditions, working area, and you'll be able to work longer time with minimum with minimum fatigue and healthy aspect. So that support, food support, ability to adjust the seating and typing heights, and then lighting conditions, distance between the monitor and the person's eye. So likewise, there are a lot of findings to go through there. So that area of research we call ergonomics, which are useful in designing layout for services and offices. And our day-to-day life. Right. This topic we completed. We discussed about layout direction. I think the simple idea is enough for the exam. What are the basic layout types? Their basic characteristics and advancement. If you're familiar with the calculation we did, 1, 2. Very simple calculation. Right. I will create the submission link on the LMS. Hope to see you next week. Take care.